Hi, everybody. Come see me in Atlantic City, February 3rd at the Borgata Resort Spa and Casino. February 4th. Where are you, Patriot fans? Wicked Pissa. It's going to be retarded. I'm at Foxwoods Theater, February 4th. Atlantic City, Borgata, February 3rd. Foxwoods, February 4th. Holler.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
It's Thursday, everybody. Unchained. Nothing stays the same. It's Thursday, and a very happy Thursday to you. We're very glad that you're listening to the podcast. Joining me today is my beautiful bride. Hi, sweetie.
Hi, honey.
We're going to do pretty much a year in review. I know a lot of people are kind of like taking this week off. A little holiday rest. Screw that noise, man. How the fuck you going to be great if you don't study greatness?
We've been looking at the game tapes.
We've been looking at game. Put some pads on somebody. So we have been looking at the game tapes, and we figured we'll do.
We're gonna be like goddamn Doug Flutie.
Goddamn Doug Flutie. We're gonna be like every hack radio show and every TV show, and the way they get a cop out episode is they do a year in review.
Because yeah, let's face it, we are what we hate. So.
Yeah.
With that, start.
You become what you hate.
You do.
Do you really believe that's true? I believe that's true.
Yes, because as you grow older, all the things that you initially rebelled against, you realize you were foolish, and they are indeed things that you do need to work. Your parents were right. You do need to floss. All this from the mundane to the.
I don't think Johnny Rotten, when he was in the Sex Pistols, thought 30 years from now I'm going to host MTV's House of Style for money.
I think he did. But that's just me.
That's why he got into the Sex Pistols. Yeah, he was playing the long game. Yeah.
Very nice, Matt Cohen.
He was, yeah.
Well played, sir.
He was hanging out with Vivian Westwood, so, you never know.
He's a real funny guy. I don't know why he's not hosting more things. He was on the red carpet for somebody for a while.
He was great. He was a red carpet, go-to guy on the It was really, I think he actually scared people, just like his vibrating energy, and everyone's there so, half pie-eyed from the limo ride over.
I've noticed you're not wearing socks. Why aren't you wearing socks? And it's like, uh-oh.
And only a couple of celebrities are able to speak without a script. And so they get scared, and I think they had to kind of put him back.
Put him back in his
rocket ship.
Hard Rock Cafe glass enclosure in Vegas.
Yes.
That's where they keep Bowser from Shauna now when he's not doing those infomercials.
Dude. That's one thing. You're right. There's a lot of actors, they really have a hard time just speaking. And that's why when you watch the Emmys, I remember one year the entire cast of The Office did the red carpet, and they were all interviewed Carell obviously was his own guy.
And he's one of the few go-to that you can count on to be pleasant and funny.
And then they said, "Who are you wearing?" He said, "This was actually made via Loom by B.J. Novak." And then they had B.J. Novak has 2 lines, 5 lines, and they go someone's like, "I'm here," in the earpiece, they're like, "I'm with B.J. Novak right now." So they go to B.J. Novak and they go to Craig Robinson, and they had 10 people from one show all riffing and doing it. And you go, of course the show's successful. Each person is what's his name?
Krasinski.
I just don't want to say it wrong. Krasinski, Krzyzewski, Coach K. Everybody was funny on that show.
And I'm sure it aired on NBC too, which of course why all 10 of them got on the pre-show.
It could be, but
point.
They all deserve to be on it.
Because they could speak and they could make a joke.
Yeah.
So I honestly think it's because, a lot of actors aren't terribly intelligent, and also they're half in the bag by the time they step out of their limo. They're terrified they're going to say something inflammatory or whatever. They just want to have their lip gloss look nice and turn to the sides. They look slim for their photos. I don't know.
There is something about The Office that's unique to any other show. I don't think you could get 8 people cobbled together where 3 of them have the lines, or like 12 people. 3 people have lines. The other 9, there's going to be 2 weeks where you don't speak at all.
But you'll have close-ups, and you'll be great.
But you're going to have to sit here for 14 hours, and I need you to look over your shoulder like, what the hell was that noise?
They do some brilliant cutaways, even if you have no lines.
And that takes a special, don't you think? Like, that's a special breed of cat. Like, most of us would be like, man, I don't even have fucking lines this week. What is this shit?
Like the dude playing Stanley probably does more office work than he does acting in the background. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I'm sure he has done a lot of
they're actually
filing.
working at Dunder Mifflin. They should be pulling double paychecks, those other background actors.
Very nice.
All they do is pick up phones and like walk to the fucking Xerox machine.
I did a
shit.
television show where I worked in an office, and when
Which
I didn't
one?
have lines, the Norm show, and when I was in scenes where I just had to sit there at my desk, I literally had papers just filled with doodles. I had finger puppets. I mean, I was busy back there. I was busy.
But like a real like crazy method actor would have like weird files made and have to sort them and alphabetize them.
I'm doubting people on The Office are really like crazy method actors.
No, I'm talking like there are weird actors
Yes,
out there.
Oh yeah, we've met them.
The Office people
they
seem
need to do
to
their breathing exercises and whatnot. Yeah.
The Office people seem to really just truly have fun. It seems to be.
If they don't, they do a good job of faking it.
If they don't, they're better actors than we even think.
Yep.
Nick had an actor audition. Was he auditioning for the show Nikki?
I don't know what it was. I don't.
Or was it?
I
well,
don't recall.
you were a part of the audition process.
I don't recall what project it was. It was an actor auditioning to play my father, and he, he's one of those guys that he's been in everything twice. He walks in. He's very nice, professional. He sits down. You ready to read with me? Yes, let's go. And then he closed his eyes and he proceeded to do his breathing exercises. And then he spent about 5 minutes going, sense of place, sense of place, sense of place, sense of place. Okay, the scene takes place. I'm in a bar. You know what I see? I see over your head, I see a dartboard. And over there I see a moose head on the bar. Okay, it's a sports bar. Sense of place, sense of place. And then delivered it. This is for, a sitcom. We all pretty much peed our pants waiting for the man to start talking.
And that actor was Daniel Day-Lewis. All right.
Who told you?
Yeah.
That's when he quit the business and moved back to Ireland to be a shoemaker.
Whatever he was doing. Yeah, cobbler. Yeah.
But you know what's funny though is Daniel Day-Lewis probably does do that, but he has the fucking wherewithal to do it at home.
Or maybe in the lobby before they call your name.
I like how Daniel Day-Lewis is now auditioning for sitcoms in our podcast.
No, it was astounding because it was, filled with network folks, and there's 15 people sitting there waiting for you to go, and he needed his time to prepare, and I don't know.
Let me ask you a question.
It was something else.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, love.
The minute that man started doing sense of place,
yes,
could he have given an audition that would have given him the job?
Well, I half wanted him to get the job just because of that, because I wanted to see that every day. But I'm also very macabre, and I think that things of that nature are hilarious. I find it funny. I also, like Raquel Welch, I screen tested to play her daughter, and she spent 45 minutes doing breathing exercises and, her octaves.
For your
singing.
audition?
Yeah. And it was... I think that kind of stuff is funny. And so I guess after a year, if I were on a show for years with someone of that ilk, it would annoy me. But in the short term, I think it's fucking hilarious.
Well, we definitely think it's hilarious, but you and the studio and like Jerry Cohen or whoever it was.
Yeah. You know what? If he had delivered, if he'd, knocked the ball out of the park and made us laugh and given a hell of a performance, we would have given him the job. But then he proceeded to give this like hideously abysmal reading. We all went from laughing. We thought he was kidding at first, and we're all laughing. We went, "Oh my God, no, he's really just batshit." And then we waited, and then we did the scene, and it was.
So
it
you
was
guys actually threw him by laughing. For all you know, that was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, I think I might have ruined Daniel Day-Lewis's sitcom career.
I picture like the only people I can see myself in the past where I'd be in a position to like cast something with that person, like you and I in the future if we create a show moving forward. But like KP Anderson, who's going to be on the podcast soon, he's the executive producer of The Soup, and he was my executive producer along with Bob Morton on More Sports. And he's the reason The Soup got good again. He's brilliant and he's great. Whereas like KP and I can just see no matter what the guy did after that. What did you say about Johnny Rotten? He was playing the long game?
Yeah.
KP and I would always think long game, like, oh my God, like episode 22, you're almost done. Sense of space. We're in the car, run away to the in-laws. And you'd be like, I'm going to kill this person.
Well, see, we also knew that it was a 3-episode arc or something. So it wasn't going to be a years-long torturous process. And so we were looking at the long game and we were going, this might be really funny for about a month. Just to, for all of us to watch this absolute nutbag get ready to deliver, fart jokes. It's a sitcom, for crying out loud.
You were on the Norm show with Norm, but what people forget, I think you did your show, Nikki, at the same time you did the Norm show. So to do 2 sitcoms at once is like a crazy, ridiculous workload. But then you carried one, but then it's almost like you had the best possible parachute. Like if you're going to have a second gig to eat up the rest of your time, you want to walk onto stage 8 and just see Norm.
Norm and Laurie Metcalf.
Oh, and Laurie Metcalf, of course. And what no one ever remembers is fucking the dad from Alf was
Max,
on the
who's a brilliant comedian,
Alf,
actually.
It's not that we don't like you.
And Ian Gomez is an actor.
Artie Lang, too, right?
Artie Lang.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really great cast. It was a great cast.
Oh, my God. Artie,
it was hands down my favorite job. I had a small role, every 5 episodes I'd have they'd focus on you and you'd have your big storyline. But for the most part, I just got to sit around and laugh at some of the funniest people I'd ever met.
So you were like Stanley in The Office.
I was almost exactly. I didn't do quite as much filing. As
a
Matt
large
Cohen.
black man with a little curl.
Mm-hmm.
Nick and I were obsessing this morning, Matt, over Ancestry.com. We've been obsessing over Ancestry.com commercials.
I have a terrible problem.
Commercials. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what were you going to say?
I actually went through a stage of trying to find my family history through that.
What they don't tell you on Ancestry.com is nothing's there. Like fucking Matt Cohen can't go on Ancestry.com and go, where were we in the... You have to provide all the data, or someone in your family has to be like a hoarder and a crazy person. Like my Aunt Susan got our entire family history, and I found out online because she did all the legwork. And then she didn't, but then she would give that to Ancestry.com and then say my sister Julie would go on Ancestry.com and go, oh my gosh, my grandmother's maiden name is Hankins, or like something, obscure that only you care about. They provide, it's a service to the best of my knowledge.
They give you a census report. That's the one thing they seem to have. Like I was able to find, like in the 1920 census, there was a fucking Charles Cohen. There were 80 Charles Cohens in Brooklyn, so it doesn't fucking help me at all. But yeah, all they had was like a bunch of census reports and like veteran record shit. That's what they provide you.
So if no one in your family was in the armed forces, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, or filled out a fucking census.
Right.
Like you don't exist.
But how do you know that's your Cohen?
You don't.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't either.
If I type in Mohr, how do I know?
Unless you know specific.
Joseph Mohr wrote Silent Night. Is that my guy?
I mean, it might be.
I've been told my whole life it actually is. For real. Great uncle wrote Silent Night. I mean, who knew that? Here's my Ancestry.com.
This is where I get nuts.
Yeah, what about the commercials is it that bugs you?
Other than everything, I cannot not talk to the television when the commercials come on. I'm like an old.
You mean on every show that we watch?
No, mostly it's Ancestry.com. I'll be like almost asleep, and the one that I love is when the lady says, I went on Ancestry.com and I found out that my great grandmother was the town's only, and I swear to God, every time, I do have OCD about it. I jump out of bed and I go, town bike.
I woke up one night, she's laying next to me going, bike! And I go, what? She goes, bike! Her grandmother was the fucking town bike.
Everybody gets a ride. I have problems. And then there's the man who says, he realized that he had relatives that went all the way back to the Civil War. And I'm thinking, don't we all?
They're all ridiculous.
Because if not, we wouldn't be here now.
The one where the dude goes,
not that they were in the Civil War, just that he had some relatives that were alive then.
There's a dude who says,
wow, you're a strange guy. How did you...
You come from a long line of other humans.
One guy goes, I found out my grandmother lived next door to the Wright brothers. Who forgot to tell me that? I go, who the fuck would care?
Yeah, thank you.
Why would that be like the thing in your life that your grandma lived next door to a famous fucking guy?
If somebody told me that their grandmother lived next door
famous couple of guys
to the Wright brothers, I would say, you might be the most boring fucking person I've ever met.
Well, my other favorite thing about those commercials is it says right there, these are actors portraying Ancestry.com members.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
So there's the one where the guy's like, I found my grandfather grew up a slave and died a businessman, and that was worth finding out. Well, I realized they're central casting a picture of an old black guy to match this young actor guy.
Right.
Because it's not their real family members.
You know
so
what would
all
make
these
that-
pictures they float is someone's actual grandfather being used in a commercial.
You know what would make that commercial to me more interesting? If the guy